Getting started in Rust can be extremely difficult on a high pop server, especially if you're playing late to the white. One of my favorite ways to catch up really quickly and get ahead fast is a trap base. Today's trap base is something that not only can you live out of, but it's gonna work very well to get people. And nobody would think it's your main base. Because of this, you can get away with trapping people for quite some time and live out of it until you're ready to build a main.
You're lying.
There you go. See, you sit down. Now this trap base is one of my favorites, and it's an old but good one. Starting off with 4 square foundations, we're gonna box that in, add a door on one side and a window on the other. Now this might seem like a very basic base, but we're gonna make it a little bit more role-player-y, adding in a roof piece and boxing that in. Now for the most part, once this is upgraded, nobody's really gonna care what's going on here. Now I know at this point some of you are thinking, am I really watching a guide on a 2x2 role player base? And the answer is yes, because it's not just any guide on a role player 2x2, it's the guide on a role player 2x2. This base works so well that you're gonna be surprised you've never seen it before. Now coming over here, we can place our workbench down, and we're actually gonna for now use that to get around, as it does give us pretty nice access to the second floor, and we do need to get our TC down. Now we are going to be building our TC in this corner here, and you do want to make sure that you're going to have room for everything. I recommend first placing the box in the back corner here. You do just want to make sure that this box is lined up straight and that it's as far back as possible. This is going to give you enough room to put in another large box later, and it really does help save you a lot of room because this base doesn't have too much. Next, you can go ahead and place your TC. You're going to want to place that right in front there. And we're gonna bring that right into that big box. And that's gonna give you enough room to switch out the doors as you get them later. If you do place it too far forward, you might not be able to place the door down. Now the direction you place the door doesn't matter too much, but it can get a little annoying to move around if you do open it the other way. It is important though that when you do leave your doors open, they are gonna peek through like this. So it's advised you don't leave them open too long. Coming in here, when you've got your next box ready, you are probably going to have to remove your doors. And then if you are having trouble getting it placed here, you can just build yourself a nice little temporary shelf here. And then place that in. Make sure you lock your TC as well as your doors. And then we're coming over here. Now, ultimately, this spot here you will eventually want to replace with a ladder hatch, as that is going to give you a little bit more security and be a much better way to get around. And then over here, we're going to place another doorway. Do keep in mind that sometimes it likes to build outside. Now, once you have your metal door, go ahead and place them here. And if you want, you can go ahead and close this up with some twig. Do not upgrade that. And then we're coming over here. Now over in this room, we are going to do a little bit of a mix of functionality and roleplay. That's because you don't want it to look too serious, but you also don't want to make the mistake of putting anything near the window that someone will be able to grab. Back here, you could throw a locker, workbench, or a couple of furnaces. I like to go with the old locker and a couple furnaces, as well as maybe slap down a couple boxes. If you do put any boxes here, it is highly recommended, as with the locker, that you do lock them. Now, because I do place boxes underneath the table, you would hope that people couldn't get it, but the way tables work, they can. So you do want to make sure that you lock that as well. And then, of course, once you've got it, you're going to want to lock up this room as well, adding that little bit of separation and doing the same thing here. Now, because we're not doing any sort of airlock, I would not recommend doing anything really with this room except for maybe a shotgun trap on the roof and possibly a locked locker here. Beyond that, it can be quite dangerous to do anything in there, so it's really just meant to be your airlock zone. Coming outside of our little beautiful home, we can see that it is very role player looking, but we could go a little further. Now, while you can leave it like this, and that is perfectly fine as long as you build low to the ground, I like to build a little patio section. Couple squares, and this is going to give me a nice little area to hang out right on my front porch. Close this in with some partial walls, and you could of course leave all of this as wood, though I do like stone as it's a little sturdier. Next, we're gonna go ahead and decorate the front porch. Whether you want to put a piano down, or you want to set a nice little beach scene, or you want to set up an arcade machine for people to come and play and get distracted on. Either way, once you've got your patio nice and set up and fairly welcoming, we can go inside and set up the actual trap part. Climbing up and crouching up our ladder hatch to get up here, we're coming over to this room right here. And here we're going to place some shotgun traps. Now this is a case of the more the merrier, but you can start with as little as 2, with I find 3 being the best number to start with. Once you've got your traps aimed fairly at the middle, we're going to go ahead and load them up. And then we just have to take one more trip downstairs. You see, the whole premise of this trap is you're gonna get anybody who's looking where they shouldn't be looking. The peeping toms of Rust. And well, there's a lot of people really curious. And once you get rid of those bars and people think that they can go in there, I guarantee you someone's gonna go in. And all it takes is one person sneaking up, playing a little bit of Chippy, and then deciding they want to go inside. With this base, you're basically set up with some passive gains, and you don't really have to do much. Now, it can be a little tricky to secure those gains as you do have to have a means of holding your door down, but honestly, the laughs are way worth it. If you don't believe me, go check it out on Reksmore Adventures, where I actually have uploaded the Roleplayer trap base. Now, securing that loot is probably important to you. It's important to me too. And one of my favorite ways to do that is with a remote turret door. Going out just outside of that build range, we're gonna place ourselves a nice little 2x1. Now you do wanna make sure you're not still in that build range, which is gonna require us to come to here. Yes, perfect. So just outside that build range, and then we're gonna make sure we use a double door entrance. Now the reason we do it that way is the double door is gonna have a lot easier time to shoot through than a single door. Now you can just use this as a respawn point with some kits inside so that you can spawn in and come from this angle in order to protect anything that might be over there. However, I like to use this with a remote switch to set up a turret. Now of course you can set this up any way you like, but a simple branch out to your turret and then a final power out towards your remote switch, you can then activate a door remotely. Doing this means you can open that up anytime you want using your smartphone, and that'll completely protect your doorway. With this method, no loot is going anywhere as long as you're ready for it. This can also work great because it will defend you against anybody that might be trying to raid you, and if you set up a couple of these around the base, you won't have anything to worry about.